What's up guys, we're back in the shop for another one. I just got a big old box of parts, came in the mail, and we're gonna start working on the KTM again. Just got this big old box of parts from Rocky Mountain ATV. They're not a sponsor. Got Race Tech valves for the fork and the shock, fork seals, fork bushings, shock seal, Wiseco piston kit, fluid, a full gasket set, wheel bearings, a chain guide, and a bunch of miscellaneous hardware and junk we got to put on the outside of the bike. Still waiting for one more box of stuff that hasn't shipped yet, but yeah, that should keep us busy for a while. Alright, one of the first things I did was get this kickstand put back on there because that was bugging me that it didn't have it. So I ordered the hardware. I needed this bolt, the big bolt, the little bolt, and the spring to make this work. And it's cool on the KTMs, they have this little rubber guy that keeps the kickstand from flopping around. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but I like it because it doesn't keeps this from doing this while you're riding. Next, I think we're gonna tear the motor apart. In that box is the flywheel puller from Tusk, which I needed to get the flywheel off right here. I did not have that tool. All right, got my coffee, got my flywheel puller, and my greasy old two-stroke. Here's that flywheel puller from Tusk. Oh, and it's reverse thread. Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? What I like to do is keep all the parts with what they go to, especially if it's something I've never had a part before like this. Two-stroke spooge. Alright, finished taking this outside cover off. Get in here and clean everything. Scrub up all the parts. Make it look pretty. And make sure nothing else inside here is broken. Alright, so I looked up a few things on the bike here. We gotta split it from this side. So I'm not gonna take all the Kickstarter and everything out of there till later. I don't think I have to. We're gonna pull the case off and have a look on the inside, look at the bearings, look at the transmission, because there were some funky flakes on the magnetic drain plug, which kind of a bummer. And inspect all the transmission gears here because I have a feeling that's where my metal flake came from, because it looks very much, yeah, see, this gear is all chowdery. I was afraid of that because I looked in the microfiche and some of these gears are flat out not available. It is reverse thread. It's real tight now. There we go. So I don't know if you can see that wear in there on those gears is what I'm talking about. It's either an issue with the hardening process with the gear or lack of lubrication. It got hot. So I'm gonna order a new gear. That's not okay. Fortunately, I was able to find one on eBay used for 20 bucks because it was like $150 for a new one. And this thing is rapidly approaching over budget. So I ordered that. I ordered a new bearing. These are no longer available through KTM or like Rocky Mountain, but it's just an SKF bearing. It's a 6203 TN9/C3. And these are readily available not through KTM, just aftermarket for like 10 bucks. So I ordered that, ordered the gear. As soon as those come in, I'm gonna start putting this thing back together. I have the cases all to clean up because they're really scrungy and nasty on the outside. And then I think I'm gonna order a crank pin and bearings because I'm already here. I have Craig down the street, so I can just take it to him and have him press it apart, put the bearings in, press it back together, and true it up. It'll be good to go. All right, look what just showed up from eBay. A new swing arm. It's because the old one was really actually looking pretty rough. When they looped it out, they ground this edge of the swing arm completely off right here. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's really thin right there, and it's right where the wheel mounts, and that's what takes all the pounding with the suspension travel. So it doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. And this is actually just a factory defect. Right here where they stopped this weld, you see how it's real fat and then it's like indented right there. There's a hairline crack that runs down here and along here, and I don't know, I'm not okay with that. I would TIG weld it, except you ruin the heat treat of aluminum when you weld, and I don't know if this is heat treated as an assembly after it's welded or not, and it's not something I'm willing to mess with. So I'm just not gonna do it. I found that other one on eBay for 30 bucks, which is a smoking deal. It's also got this huge dent in the bottom of it. So this one looks really clean. The only issue, and the eBay seller pointed it out, is that this chain adjuster is seized in here. So we're gonna have to try and get that guy out of there. Luckily this one moves. So that one's good. This one, right here, that's seized in there. Somebody's already had some vice grips on it trying to get it out. So what I'm gonna do is find a nut that fits this. We're gonna thread a nut on there and then weld the nut on, which does two things. It gives you a good place to put a wrench on and grab it. It also heats this up really hot. So we'll weld the nut on, then we'll spray some penetrating oil in there while it's still good and hot, and we'll try to get it out. So while it's still hot, I like to hit it with some kind of light oil to try to get down in there between the threads of the aluminum and the stainless. Unfortunately, this bolt's stainless. So Alan, who you've seen on the channel, actually works in corrosion control. And I think one of the worst two combinations for galvanic corrosion is stainless and aluminum. So the other thing you can do is, while this is still a little warm, is you can give this a few smacks with a hammer. Don't go beating the tar out of it, because you'll deform it and you'll probably shove the threads back in there. Just give it some light taps to try to loosen up any kind of corrosion that might be in there. Oh, that's stuck. That's real stuck. I was actually able to get it out without taking all the aluminum with it, with just the big impact. Sometimes that vibration and rattling really helps to loosen things up. So I was able to get it out. I'm just gonna run a tap through these threads, clean them all up, make sure there's no gooks still stuck in them. And then we'll take the old bolts out of the swing arm that I've already cleaned up and greased and anti-seized and put them in here. Alright, now that you've washed this off, you want to make sure you at the very least dry this out and smash some new grease in your swing arm bearings and your rear shock pivot. It's better if you can clean all the old grease out of there and pack it with new grease, but at the very least you should smash some new grease in it. Normally when you do this, you would put a liberal amount of grease on your swing arm bolt. If you don't, there's a chance it can get seized when it goes through the engine cases right here in the center, and if that happens, it's a bad day. So make sure you put a lot of grease on this when you put it back together. not going to do that now because the motor's not on the bike. In the next video, well, I'm not sure. I'm still waiting on parts. Shipping is kind of all screwed up because of coronavirus. So I'm still waiting on the bushing and seal kit for the shock, and I'm waiting on a bearing and crankshaft seals for the motor. Also the 5th gear for the transmission before you see that. So maybe the next video we'll knock some wheel bearings and seals in the wheels and see if they're still straight. But that's all for now, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.